Hello and thanks for joining us on Chicago Tonight. I'm Joanna Hernandez. Brandis Freeman has the evening off. Here's what we're looking at. Calls for a full-scale review of the Chicago Police Department's use of force. Chicago Cinco de Mayo parade is canceled for a second straight year. An organizer joins us to discuss the decision and the ongoing impact of immigration enforcement.
The city's recycling rate has been stuck below 10% since 2016.
We explain the history of recycling in Chicago.
Do you know who I am? An evil child kidnapper.
And we revisit our conversation with Stranger Things star Jay Colony. First off tonight, 2 Chicagoans testified before members of Congress today. Marimar Martinez was shot 5 times by a Border Patrol agent in Brighton Park last fall after federal agents collided with her vehicle. Reverend David Black also testified before the Homeland Security Committee. He spoke about how ICE agents fired pepper balls at him as he prayed outside an ICE facility in Broadview.
What was done to me is only a reflection of what is being done to people in my community who have no pulpit and no platform. On a daily basis, I witness the fear and the suffering of those who are being targeted by this violent campaign.
This is not a performance. This is our lives, and we're going through it. We're traumatized, and we want accountability. We want change and transparency. That's it.
An International Workers' Day is next week, and members of the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights are calling on organizations to join a citywide rally. At a news conference today, the coalition and other groups outlined plans for a May Day event. It's a holiday highlighting workers' rights in the history of labor organizing. Organizers say immigration will also be a central focus, citing the impact of Midway Blitz and emphasizing the role immigrants play in the workforce.
Is calling on everyone who banded together in the past year against attacks on our communities to join ICER's immigrant rights contingent on May 1st.
May Day calls on all of us to stand together for fair wages, safe workplaces, and dignity for every single worker, regardless of where they were born.
The rally is set for noon at Park 578, about a mile from Union Park. And a new class of first responders is making its mark one paw at a time. The 4-legged teams and their handlers are now certified as therapy canine units through Cook County Sheriff Thomas Dart's Tales of Redemption program. Launched in 2018, the initiative pairs at-risk dogs with detainees for retraining and adoption. Now, some of the dogs are being trained as crisis response therapy animals and sent to police departments across Illinois. Sheriff Dart says many of the dogs once faced with euthanasia now have a new purpose, helping others.
What they do when they get the dogs, yes, they can help on particular cases where you have a victim of a crime who's been traumatized. The therapy dog is amazing. It can work with law enforcement officers who's gone through trauma. That can help as well. But the other component is all these different agencies will have the ability local hospitals with the dog.
Up next, an annual Cinco de Mayo event is canceled for the 2nd year in a row. An organizer joins us right after this.
Chicago Tonight is made possible in part by the Alexandra and John Nichols family, the Polk Brothers Foundation, and the support of these donors.
A significant increase in the number of times Chicago police use force against residents since 2022 merits a full-scale review. That's according to the Office of Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul. Our Heather Sharon joins us now with more. Now, Heather, this isn't the first time Attorney General sounded the alarm about the number of times Chicago police officers are using force against members of the public. Why are they? What's the concern here?
Well, according to CPD's own data, officers used force against members of the public more than 3,000 times in 2025. Now, that is a nearly 36% increase since 2023. The Attorney General's office is especially concerned about increases in the uses of force against youth and the increase in the amount of the highest level of force against members of the public. this increase, saying that it threatened the entire consent decree reform push, which of course started more than 7 years ago.
And Heather, what does the Attorney General office say should happen now?
Well, they say a full-scale review would look at specific representative samples. Was reasonable? Was it necessary? Did officers follow CPD policy and try to de-escalate the situation before a use of force was necessary? They say that will allow them to figure out what, if anything, needs to be changed in policy, or maybe that officers need to be retrained.
And how did the Chicago Police Department Superintendent Larry Snelling
pushed back? The city's top cop said that he was concerned such a review would not take into the account of the totality of these circumstances. And he said officers are human, they make mistakes, and that he says the department is prepared to hold them accountable for mistakes, but he does not want these incidents to be taken out of context. Now, Superintendent Snelling can't stop this review under the terms of the federal court order, but it's clear that there is a distinct disagreement on why officers and if officers are using force more often. The top cop says it's because officers are simply doing a better job of reporting it to authorities.
And now the latest report on CPD's efforts to comply with the consent decree is out. What did they find?
Well, the CPD is now in full compliance with 25% of the consent decree. Now, this agreement overall is designed to stop officers from routinely violating the civil rights of Black and Latino Chicagoans. It first went into effect in March 2019. It tells you there's still a long way to go before we reach that 100% mark.
Well, thank you, Heather, for breaking that down for us.
Thanks, Joanna.
And you can read Heather's full story on our website. It's all at WTTW.com/news.
WTTW News coverage of policing and police reform is supported by the Joyce Foundation.
The annual Cinco de Mayo parade in Chicago's Little Village community has been canceled for the second straight year because of concerns over immigration enforcement. The parade, typical both the economic benefits and culture celebration, was difficult but necessary for a community that has faced scrutiny from the Trump administration. Joining us is Hector Escobar, president of Casa Puebla in the Cermak Road Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Hector, for joining us. Now, let's talk a little bit about this parade. These two organizations, they put this parade. Now, what went about making this decision? I can imagine it wasn't an easy one.
Yeah. Well, first, thank you for inviting me. And no, it was not easy, and it took a while to decide if we keep going and doing the festival and parade. But the circumstances and seeing this new immigration department, when the new head of the department taking different tactics to take our people away, and they changed. They have Suburbans to have pickups and put little flags, Mexican flags around the trucks, and so to disguise them. We decided not to keep
Different tactics?
Yes, they've been doing it. As a matter of fact, one of the areas where they were targeting for the past 2 weeks was the border between Little Village and Cicero. So, and targeting mostly has been Little Village and Pilsen.
Yeah. So tell me about how the decision came about. Did you go to different community members? Were you knocking doors? How did you decide we have to cancel?
Yeah, usually what we do, we go around the neighborhood where the parade takes place, from Ashland all the way to Marshall Boulevard and Cermak. And around the neighborhood, we ask them, well, what do you feel about the parade? And say, well, this is beautiful, but I don't think I want to attend. I mean, things are not that good. And so, because that thing, we asked for hundreds, very many people.
Well, because thousands go to the parade.
Yes, hundreds of thousands, definitely. And the other thing, the business community gets hurt too, because they prepare. That's the first event of the summer, And we had to tell them that that's not to buy X amount of food.
And I did want to talk about that because the businesses are going to be impacted. You're talking about restaurants, stores, people who go out into the streets and sell their items. So this is going to hit them hard.
Yes, they did hit them last year prior to another times, the pandemic. They just trying to recuperate from the pandemic. Then this immigration starting last year. Now, again, like a different Department of the Homeland Security, but the tactics and the racist people are still there. So we just have to be very careful.
So you're saying that the scale is a bit different of how they're targeting people. They're not as, you can't see them throughout the neighborhood as much.
Yes, like they were saying they're like crocodiles. They put the eyes out and they're hunting us.
Yeah, and what was the feedback from people when you told them that we're canceling? Was there people that were disappointed?
Yeah, very much. They're sad, and people who could attend, they said, well, we could, but 60% of the what we said is very safety to keep all people safe. Then sorry.
That's the reality. What did you love about putting this event together?
Well, actually, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of people to do it, and we put 6-7 months in advance to get sponsors, to see who is going to participate. People from other countries like Mexico, my hometown Puebla, they were ready to come and give another different presentations in the parade. But at this point, we had to play it safe.
Cinco de Mayo is a huge holiday for Mexicans, especially. For those who don't know, remind us a little bit about why we celebrate Cinco de Mayo.
Well, it was the war between actually French tried to take over Mexico because the French tried to collect some money from the Mexican government. So, and with that situation, they said, well, they cannot pay, so we're going to take over the country. So they sent the floats through Veracruz, Mexico, but they were stopped in Puebla, my hometown. And, because that thing, otherwise we'll be speaking French now and from Mexico into United States. I'm glad we stopped them right in that point.
The story is so interesting. I know we were talking about that. Chicago is known to almost 70% of the population is Mexican living here in Chicago. And we know that the parade has been going on, you mentioned, since the 70s?
Yes.
How important was it at that time when the parade first started?
Well, since we have so many cultural parts of that part of Cinco de Mayo, September 16, but Cinco de Mayo was more we're trying to do and diversify about September 16, making sure what's the difference between September and May. And one of the things, in some points, they were trying to do commercial. So we just trying to go cultural, just focus in helping the community and have our tamales, tacos, vendors, and have a real enjoyment with family.
Of course.
Yes.
It's something where everyone can come together. Is it a bit sad or disappointing for you to know that you can't have this event, this parade?
Well, of course. I mean, not only that, is that you cannot have many events. I mean, it's more than 1,000 people. It is a lot. But 200,000 people, that's too many.
I can imagine it's frustrating.
Yes, very much. So, but you know what? That's most important is to take care of people than making money.
I know that's a good reason. I know this is far away, but are you hoping that maybe next year you'll take another look and hopefully you could bring it back?
Well, we hope things are different next year. So. We'll be planning it no matter what. We're going to plan it and see, hopefully it goes
well. Thank you, Hector. Well. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, and thank you very much.
Back with more in a moment, so don't go away.
Reflecting the people and perspectives that make up our communities, this story is part of Chicago Tonight, Latino Voices.
Chicagoans celebrated Earth Day today by participating in cleanup events across the city. One area where Chicago has historically struggled in terms of waste management has been its recycling rate. Tonight, we explain the city's tortured relationship with the process. Here's Patty Wetley with more.
Chicago may be a world-class city, but when it comes to recycling, let's just say it isn't winning any awards. The city's recycling rate has been stuck below 10% since 2016. How bad is that? Well, places like San Francisco and LA claim to keep 80% of their waste out of landfill. So what went wrong here? Let's take a deep dumpster dive. Flashback to the 1990s. Chicago's first try at recycling was the Blue Bag program. Along with the usual charges of corruption, the program had a serious image problem when people saw blue bags of recycling collected in the same trucks as trash. Chicagoans smelled a rat. Was anything actually being recycled? Blue bags were scrapped, and fast forward to 2007 when the city rolled out blue carts, but only to residences with 4 units or fewer. Tough luck, high-risers. At first, blue cart recycling seemed easy. Instead of separating paper, plastic, aluminum, and glass, everything goes into a single bin. This method is called single stream, where the sorting happens on the back end. Single stream is popular because it's simple, but it has some major flaws. For starters, some people took everything goes a little too literally, tossing things like bowling balls and lumber into their carts, which, for the record, are not recyclable. Another problem with single stream is contamination. Contamination can ruin an entire load of recyclables. That's why the most successful programs separate waste. When the city tried to stop contamination, recycling got more complicated because lots of things can't go in the cart. Chicagoans smelled a rat again. Is anything actually being recycled? The city has tried to take this runaway recycling train back on track, including a 2017 Back to Basics campaign and a new vendor contract. But is it too little, too late? The market for recyclables has plummeted, and the future of waste management is looking more and more like composting. Maybe this time Chicago will get it right.
And you can see more of our WTTW News Explained series on our website. That's WTTW.com/explains. An animated spin-off of Stranger Things premieres on Netflix tomorrow. The series is called Stranger Things Tales from '85, and it takes place between season 2 and 3 of the original series, which wrapped up late last year. We recently spoke with one of the breakout stars from the final season, who is also a Chicago native. Here's Nick Blumberg with another look at that conversation.
It may be hard to believe, but the phenomenon that is Stranger Things premiered a decade ago. The epic saga just came to a close after 5 seasons. The most recent 5th season introduced us to a new character who quickly became a fan favorite, Derek Turnbow, affectionately known as Delightful Derek, and less affectionately known by a nickname we won't repeat here.
As you continue breathing, I want you to picture yourself on a beach. The water is blue, blue as a smurf. You listen to it lap the sandy shore, like a dog slurping from his bowl. It's called visualization. Mom does it when she's out of Valium.
The actor that plays Derek, the comic relief turned protagonist, is Chicago area native Jake Connolly, and he joins us now. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. I've always been a lifelong WTTW fan.
Thank you. We would have booked you anyway, but we appreciate that. So before doing Stranger Things, you'd done a Felco window commercial, you'd done a short film.
Yep.
What's it like now to be part of such a high-profile show?
I really did enjoy being on some smaller productions because that was really just dipping my toes into the water, doing a couple Felco commercials here and there, and that short film was definitely a great way to dabble into the Chicago film industry, which I'm a really huge fan of. But that was a really good way to dabble my toes in, and I really enjoyed that to be able to help me lead into this bigger, huge project.
Yeah, I can imagine it might have been overwhelming to jump into without having something beforehand.
For sure, yes.
So you were just a few years old. We mentioned Stranger Things was, premiered about a decade ago.
Yeah.
Were you a fan of the show before you got the role?
Actually, my family and I, you know, my mom and dad, they both grew up in the 80s, and they were huge fans of the show even before I was able to watch it. But finally, when season 4 came out, they were like, yeah, you're good to watch it, you and your brother. And I really fell in love with it, and I was just so amazed that I actually got the audition for it, let alone being on the project itself.
That's great. You know, while you were filming season 5, you were around the age that a lot of the original cast was back when they were filming season 1. Did you get any advice from them kind of on how to handle the attention that comes with something like Stranger Things?
During the table read week, when we were actually beginning to start to read the scripts, Millie Bobby Brown and her boyfriend at the time, Jake Bon Jovi, they gave me some amazing advice. You know, we were about to go get food, and she just called me over to her huge pink Humvee, and she just gave me this amazing advice, and she said, Jake, if you need anything, you can always come to me, and make sure that if you need help, then get help. And I'm always there for you, and just make sure that we know that we've been in your shoes before, and we know how nervous it is getting onto a new set, especially as a younger actor.
Yeah, especially, and coming in when they've already been established for so many seasons. But
Exactly.
That's great that they were looking out for you. You know, so Derek starts off the season as kind of a bully, but you know, pretty soon he shows there's a lot more to himself than that. Was it fun to play that character, to sort of get to play that turn?
I feel like the duality of it was a really fun concept, and I really enjoy acting because I get to see how life is in another person's shoes. But it was actually a very interesting experience to be able to play what was pretty much 2 characters in one. Because Derek is just, he underwent so much change throughout the entire season, and you know, it was a really fun experience.
Yeah. So, you know, we were just talking about the 1980s Stranger Things, full of 80s nostalgia, 80s references. Do you have a favorite 80s movie?
Oh, that is a tough one, but I've always been a big fan of The Lost Boys. My parents, you know, since they grew up in the 80s, they know all the good classics, you know, Stand By Me, The Goonies, all of those. It's a really kind of a 3-way tie between those, but I would say The Lost Boys comes on top.
Good taste, I like it. So you were in Georgia for about a year filming this season. What did you miss most about Chicago while you were away?
I think I would say the food scene in here in Chicago is just unbeatable. You know, you never get pizza quite like you do in Chicago with the tavern style, deep dish, whatever it is. It's always so amazing. And I just really miss all the foods and comfort foods of Italian beef and deep dish pizzas that are Chicago classics.
For a reason, yeah.
Yep.
All right, so that's what you missed. What was your favorite part of being on the shoot? I imagine it could be almost overwhelming, a production at this scale.
I really enjoyed the amount of practical effects where they actually did explosions, and they even lit people on fire for real with protective gels and all that. In that one military scene, it was very interesting to see with people flying on wires. And yeah, very amazing to see all those practical effects instead of all CGI and green screens.
All right, so you're gone for a year or so. What did you tell your friends you were doing while you were away?
So actually, I had told my friends that I was doing a mayonnaise documentary, as I didn't know many people who had that many follow-up questions to mayonnaise.
Okay, well, you know what? If they bought it, they bought it.
Yep.
So once they found out what you were actually up to, how did folks react?
A couple of my friends were kind of disappointed the mayonnaise documentary wasn't coming out.
I would like to see it.
Yeah, I think everybody, they were just made me feel so supported, and I'm just so glad that I have a strong backbone of my family and friends that really made me feel good about the work that we did, and I'm really glad to have that.
Yeah. So I know you play football, baseball, you practice karate. How did you get interested in acting in addition to those?
I feel like that with sports, you know, I did the Arlington Cowboys football in Arlington Heights, the Arlington Heights Kids Karate Club. All of that really builds the amount of discipline that you need to be able to be an actor, because it is very tough in some situations, and as long as you're prepared, it's definitely a fun experience, but you got to make sure you have that preparation before you can actually have all the fun of it.
Yeah, and it sounds like you got some of that team environment on the set as well.
For sure, yeah. Just being in sports and karate definitely helped me build that sense of teamwork that, you know, if teamwork makes the dream work, if one cog is broken, the whole machine's broken.
Are you still interested in pursuing acting roles? Are there other things you want to try right now?
I'm actually, I'm just signed on to be doing an indie film here in Northern Illinois, which is really exciting because I love supporting the Chicago film industry. You know, that short film that I had done was really great. We filmed here in Chicago, and it premiered at the Gene Siskel Film Center, which that was really exciting to see myself up on the big screen for the first time. But I'm just really looking forward to doing a couple more things in the Chicago area and, you know, just exploring all my opportunities I can find.
All right, well, it was a lot of fun watching you on this season. Jake Connolly, thanks so much for joining us.
Such an honor to be here. Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. And we're back with more right after this.
I still need to finish some of the past Stranger Things seasons, so I got some time. And that's our show for this Wednesday night. Be sure to sign up for our free email newsletter, The Daily Chicagoan in Urban Nature, at WTTW.com/newsletter. And join us tomorrow night at 5:30 and 10. Now, Chicago has seen heavy rainfall so far this spring. A look at the impact flooding is having on the region. Now, from all of us here at Chicago Tonight, I'm Joanna Hernandez. Thank you for watching. Stay healthy and safe. Good night.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a Chicago personal injury and wrongful death firm that is a multilingual law firm, providing translators for a variety of languages.